welcome back to movementprofessional.com. So today we're going to look to deconstruct the bird dog movement. So the bird dog is starting in a quadruped position. One, we got to understand how to own this quadruped position. So anytime we're in quadruped, we're thinking the base position would be our wrists are right under the shoulders and our knees are right under the hips as much as possible. So basically we're trying to make a perpendicular line with our arm in the ground and our thigh in the ground. All right, so first we'll start here, and we want to do our best to try to find somewhere in between a flex position and an overextended position, but then it doesn't have to be perfect as long as something it doesn't hurt. All right, from there we're going to try to look at our breathing. So first thing I like to cue is to be able to breathe a little bit lower and slower than what is typical if you're not thinking about your breath. All right, and the reason that I'm going to start lower is because typically just the weight through the arms starts to make us want to take a little bit more stress up into the shoulders here. So we want to engage the ground with a nice grip and then focus on breathing a little bit lower and slower. So when I'm thinking lower and slower, I want to basically think under the chest. Here's where the diaphragm is. I want to think about dropping the diaphragm down and making an inflation around the abdomen, lower rib cage area, and even if I can move it down into the pelvis, that would be great. But the focus is to think slow. So I'm going to breathe in for 5. Try to fill that area down lower. Wide ribs, breathe around the abdomen, so belly goes towards the ground. Lower back, I'm thinking would go up towards the ceiling. And even if I can get some expansion down into the pelvis. And then on the exhale, I'm slowly squeezing so the ribs are coming in, abdomen may engage. I can hold in a P like I'm contracting the pelvic floor. So that would be the first thing I'm looking for is inhale, low and slow, about 5 seconds. You can really use any count just as long as it slows you down. Exhale, everything engages back towards the center. All right, the second step then would be to, let's just move the leg. So I'm going to slide it back without lifting first so I can try to keep the postural control, and I'm going to do the same breath. Slow and low, inhale, exhale, contract. As I contract, now I want to see if I can get a little bit of engagement in this glute on the right side that I just moved back. All right, and then I'll bring that back. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Try to connect the breath to the muscle contraction. All right, from there, I'm going to go lift the leg and just hover it a little bit. So I'm not trying to get this leg real high. I just want it to be a little bit off the ground. As soon as I do that, I'm starting to work a bit higher because I've gone from 4 pillars of support to 3. But I want to see if I can maintain the same breath control. Inhale, slow and low. Exhale, engage. As I engage the center here, I want to feel muscles obviously right around the center in the abdomen, belly button, pelvic floor, but I want to get a little bit more engagement in this right glute right now. And I want to make sure that this left hip isn't collapsing here. So there's a sense of elongation through my arms and through this left thigh bone. Okay, and then I'll do that on the other side. All right, and then I'm going to try to add the arm into the mix. So slide, hover, walk the arm out. I can hover. Now I can take a pause here and take a breath. But if I just want to go right into the bird dog, I'm going to hover this up. And the thought process is elongation through the limbs. So my left hand is reaching away from my right leg. I'm still long through the right arm through the ground, so I'm not collapsing. Long through the left leg, so I'm not collapsing into the hip. And then the same slow and low breath. As I inhale and I'm able to keep it low, I might think more elongation through the limbs. As I exhale, compress, keep the elongation through the limbs, but try to get a little bit more muscle contraction, especially around the hips and the abdomen. And I bring it down softly. I don't collapse the limbs down, reset in quadruped, and then I go to the other side. All right, so that's the way I like to use the bird dog as a bit of an assessment. And then there's different things you can take from the position. So one, you just see how hard it is for people to be able to maintain a quadruped position. Does it hurt the knees? Does it hurt the shoulders? Does it hurt the wrists? Then you can see what happens when you start manipulating pillars of support. If you go from 3 pillars to 2 pillars or from 4 pillars to 3, does that start to throw a wobble into the mix? Is the balance really off? Does the breathing change? So a lot of things that can be assessed there. The last little bit would be, we can go through this bird dog pretty easily through here. No wobble, good breath control. Then you can assess, can you connect elbow to opposite knee? And that's going to show how well someone's able to rotate, and also if there's any type of restriction in hip range of motion, trunk range of motion, or even shoulder range of motion through there. So the first thing, just looking at the balance, the stability, and then you can actually look a little bit at mobility with the stability as you add that connection, opposite elbow and knee. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can go to movementprofessional.com. I'll see you next time.